like you said, the Maximes thing was like madness as well, because I mean at the time I was still at school when I first started the over 18, so I was,
How did it come about? How did you get into obviously the biggest stage that you possibly could at that age?
Well, it was initially after doing all the copying and stuff, I built up a bit of my own little freestyle patterns. I'd written a few like little lyrics, the Coronation Street one, the Purple Aki one. They were like my first two that I ever wrote when I was about 14, which I still use today. Eminem would be, jealous of the poetry and lyricism contained within them sections. But so then at Maximes they used to have an open mic on a Wednesday, under 18s events. You queue up for ages, there'd be loads of people. Scotty G was the resident at the time, and then after bits of going on there, eventually he said, "Oh, you sound really good." And there was a lad who lived quite close to me, kind of taught me how to project my voice and stuff. So when I was going in there, I went from my squeaky voice to kind of projecting it, and I just sounded so much better than the rest, because they couldn't really project the voice proper.
Who was the other MCs?
I don't know.
Who was the rest?
Just like all wannabes like me at the time, really.
That's sick how it happened like that, like actually getting noticed as opposed to knowing somebody and getting in that way. I think it's a lot better that you went to an open mic thing, somebody noticed saying you're sick and got you on. It's
proper old school, and I don't think that could happen.
No, not in this day.
I mean, because at the time, under 18s events, they were massive right across the country, and there was for several years like after that. And it was just doing that, God knows how many weeks, week in, week out. And at one point, I was just stood in the queue, ready to go in on a regular Wednesday, and Pete, the manager at the time, walked past. I said, "Oh, you're right, Pete." He's like, "Oh, come with me." So he walked me to the front of the queue, and the queue was like round the corner. So I was like, "Oh, thank God for that. I was buzzing with this." And he just said to the doorman, "Let this guy in for free every week now." They used to give out a free CD each week as well of the recording from the week before.
Nice.
So I've been on them a few times, like the recordings, and he said, "What's your name?" So I'm going to start putting your MC name on the CD. And at the time, I used to call myself MC Mint.
MC Mint.
MC Mint.
Where did you got that from?
Wicked on the mic, like a window tint. That was one of my first rhymes. So yeah, I used to call myself MC Mint.
Why?
I don't know, because mint, it's like a Wigan thing, innit?
It was like a word, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
no meaning behind it at all.
No, just like, mint.
I'm mint.
Right, mint.
Okay.
That. Yeah, that's... And he said, "Yeah, what's your name? I'll put your name on the CD." And I just had a kind of a light bulb moment where I thought, right, if I make it here, do I want to be known as like MC Mint or just Finchy, what people call me? So I was like, "Oh, Finchy."
See, I don't reckon you would have got as far as you are now if you was called Mint.
No way, man. No way.
You can't picture it. It's not possible that an MC that's called MC Mint is doing Fusion Liverpool.
Yeah.
That is, performing at friggin' what's that rugby place?
Oh yeah,
Wigan Rugby.
Yeah, the DW Stadium.
So, yeah, MC Mint.
MC Mint live. Yeah, so that was one thing. When I look back, I think, thank God I didn't really stick with that. And yeah, that was probably another 6 months or so, just doing that week in, week out on the under 18s.
So what sort of year we're talking here?
So that was 2000, between 2003 2004, and then in 2005, that's when Pete, the manager, said, "Do you fancy coming down and doing the over 18s this Saturday? National Anthems all nighter." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm up for that." So yeah, that's when I first started on the over 18s, and obviously that was madness at the time.
What were it like, obviously going from unknown kids to getting on the stage with people who you've been listening to on CDs and stuff?
It was the MCs that was
so there was Scotty G, who I kind of got to know from going to the under 18s. A few of the old ones had actually come down to a few of the under 18s ones as well, so I've met a few of them, but like nothing, not had a good chat, 'cause obviously I'm just a kid at the time. They're in the 20s, they probably think, "Who's this kiddie?" I don't chatting to 15-year-olds. But Blazy, Roach, Rhythm, Rhythm was, at the time, one he was like one of my big inspirations. So like being on the stage with him, that was like, well, this is madness. So I was like, I can't wait to go back in school and tell everybody. So yeah, but it was weird, because I think at the time as well, I was too young to kind of understand it all. It was just a case of, just going, doing the over 18s. And then, you think about what it's like to break into the scene now. If that was to happen, I know a lot of people who'd be like, who's this idiot? You know, I don't want nothing to do with him. But at the time, I just kind of rolled with it. And
but you were like a hero to a lot of people, like for being so young. Like we couldn't even get into the clubs, and you're there in it under 18 and on the stage. It's like another level. Even if you got into it and you weren't even on the stage, you'd be buzzing.
Yeah.
So obviously it's somewhere we looked up to and listened to the CDs. So to be that young and break through and be on the stage.
Yeah, it was lucky. It was lucky, and I can't see it. It may happen again, but at the minute I can't see it happening again for a while, really. But it was like really kind of unique thing to happen. And yeah, like you said, me being so young as well, being in this environment where there was like 1,500 people every single week, and I'm got thrown in straight at the deep end with all like the best MCs on the scene, and there was probably people who'd been plugging away for years,
trying.
You know, thinking, who's this idiot? And obviously at the time I was a lot different to a lot of the other MCs that were on. You know, that everyone kind of taught the bad boy stuff and, you know, do this and do that, whereas I just come in and just taught about absolute nonsense, like just stupid. It had like I went for like the comedic kind of route. So
what was your first bar then?
I think it was the Coronation Street one. I think was one of the first ones that I wrote, and I remember I'd written it in. I was in one of my friends who he used to have decks. Chris Parr. I was in his house, and a few of us were sat round. And I was like, "Oh, need right around. What should we do about it?" And then it was like Coronation Street. A few people like kind of chipped in with like little things, and yeah, writ it there. And then I'd learnt it kind of that night. And then Per Placky was one of that followed shortly after. So they were like my two main ones that I used to use, and people kind of got to know them pretty quick. So yeah, they were like my first two ones. Still use them. Well, the Coronation Street I didn't use for years because I have the characters at the time are no longer in there. But I get people say, please do it. So every now and then I might drop it.
Yeah, man. So you're up to Maximes. Where did it go from there after Maximes? When did you do Wigan? Because I'm assuming back then Wigan Pier was still the main stage of what you had to get on to sort of know.
Well, at the time it was Wigan Pier and Maximes were the main venues, but Wigan Pier didn't have MCs on. So if you was an MC, Maximes was the place to be. So I was content being there. I had no kind of aspirations to do Wigan Pier at the time, and then I used to spend a lot of time in Per Records, so I got to know Mikey B and Ben T, residents at the pier. As time went on with Maximes as well, I was enjoying it still. It was still like the pinnacle to a lot of people, but I felt I could do more doing other places, and you was always restricted with what you could do whilst you worked there with the politics and
there were politics back then.
Oh yeah. So there's politics.
Not as bad as today, or worse.
I mean, back then you weren't allowed to work anywhere else on a Saturday, anywhere at all. And then they'd be funny gigs. You say you're doing gigs on a Friday, you'd have to check they was okay and stuff like that. But I didn't know any better. But I always felt that I got to a point where it was kind of hindering me because I was getting offers elsewhere for a lot more money than what I was getting paid, which was like peanuts at the time for being at the biggest club. So then in the end, over time, I was like, you know, kind of wanted more, and we had kind of a bit of a fallout over nothing, and then I just thought it was the time to kind of move on. And at the time as well, Maxime was still, you know, a big thing, and a lot of people were saying, "You're mad, you shouldn't be doing this," and
crazy.
People were saying, "Yeah, you know, you're going to be finished when you leave here," and stuff like that. But
how old were you when you were saying stuff like that to you?
18.
All right.
So yeah, 2 years. I've been 2 years. I think it was 2007. So within, I think I finished there in December, and then we put Frequency on. Frequency was, we put Frequency on the second week in January, about a month later, and locked it out.
Where that?
At Wigan Pier.
At Wigan Pier? Yeah.
So at the time, Farrell had started doing a few PAs and stuff, and when I left there, they kind of brought me in and said, right, we're going to be putting a few more things on. So I used to do the Frequency nights, and then I'd go down there, you know, at least once a month, just doing like little bits of hosting and stuff, which I did for a number of years there. So I literally went from Maximes to kind of doing Pier a lot, and then just doing my own thing. Like the Frequency started taking off, obviously not long after I started after Maximes. So yeah, and then it kind of just went from there really. So I went from one thing and just kind of fell into another.